action, that's it. Lights, camera, action, that's it.
Kylie Minogue is an Australian megastar and pop icon, although she's lived in the UK quite a lot. She is the best-selling female Australian artist ever, and she's known in Europe as the Princess of Pop. So her first big public exposure was in the TV show, the soap opera Neighbours, where she played a character called Charlene Robinson. I saw the first episode that she was in, and I remember it well. The storyline that she had was a love story with a character called Scott, who was played by Jason Donovan, and out of that spawned some at least one song that was Kylie and Jason. It launched her pop career under the production of Stock Aitken and Waterman, who also created people like Rick Astley with his Never Want to Give You Up. That's so famous for Rick Rolling. She lulled a bit in the late 90s and then reinvented herself as a dance pop sexy image in the early 2000s. She was famously open about her struggle with breast cancer and created a particular rise in people getting tested and self-testing for breast cancer. And she has created 15 studio albums. Hi, my name's Dan. So this is a new release album review. Most of the reviews on this channel are not new releases. They're actually working my way through a list, which is the 3,000 greatest albums of all time, according to Acclaimed Music. And I'm nearly, I'm heading towards a third of the way through at this point in time. But occasionally I step off this list, and one of those reasons is to review new releases that I particularly feel a desire to review. So there's all sorts of reasons why that might be. So this is my second time that I've reviewed one of Kylie's new releases, and the first one was Tension, which was about a year or so ago, and I've just kind of checked back and found that my review, I found it to be okay, and I gave it a 6.9. I have also, as part of the list, reviewed considerably the earlier album by Kylie, and it got 8.3. It was Fever, I think it was called. Okay. So, onto this album then. So I would describe this quite straightforwardly as dance/electro-pop. It's very clubby. It's very reminiscent of 2000s electro club bangers, I would say. So names that come to mind from the time are people like Madonna and Britney and Kylie and others like that. But also stuff like Feels Like Jagger, can't remember who that is, Daft Punk, their collaborations with other people, and a track called Cake by the Ocean by DNCE that I really enjoyed. So, as I usually do for these reviews, I listen twice. My first listen was on my laptop. My second listen was in the car. And I read up on stuff about the album in between, which this is my normal kind of pattern of doing things. So, on my first listen through, I enjoyed it. On my second listen through, I really enjoyed it. It's good in the car music, I have to say. It feels very kind of driving. So almost every track is kind of like an instant pop thing. Even just on the second time through, I was already singing along the tracks. It's that kind of instant and poppy. None of them, I would say, are quite at the level of the genius of Can't Get You Out of My Head, which is one of my favourite dance pop tracks ever. But it's close, and maybe it just needs time. There are some tracks on here. Obviously, there are some that I like more than others, but there's nothing on here that I dislike, and there were some that I really did like. Most of the tracks are somewhere in that. There's a kind of speed thing here. They're all roughly the same speed, mostly. Which, looking it up, it's somewhere between 120 and 128 BPM. And that's, when I was looking this up, there's quite a few of her other tracks on other albums have got similar speed. There was one that was slower and there was one that was faster towards the end. musically, it's dance pop, so it's fairly complex, layered stuff. It includes samples, but it includes things that have been played just for being sampled for this, and then messed about with. There's synths, there's programmed drums. There's some really nice bass, actually, which for me is a significant thing, as that's probably my most competent instrument that I play. And I respond to bass, and it's quite funky at times. So, yeah, nice. There's occasional big string backing, which reminds me of things like I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor and yeah, yeah, there's an ABBA track, the doodle I can't remember what it is. Anyway, moving on. It's immaculately produced. It gives it a particular electro feel. It's got this kind of slightly sci-fi electronic thing. And I did go and look at the video for Lights, Camera, Action, and she does play on the sci-fi thing a bit in her videos generally. It's very danceable. It's very head noddable. It's very foot tappable. It's very steering wheel tappable as you're driving along. Vocals are often quite processed. There's autotune and other effects. I didn't find that. So sometimes I react quite badly against autotune, not in this case. Maybe I'm just forgiving her because it's Kylie and I like Kylie. I do know that she can sing, so they're using it for the effect rather than for keeping her in tune, I would say. Mostly, it's actually quite soft vocally. Like she's at times, it's almost kind of whispering in your ear. It's it's like kind of breathy, and it's kind of that's got a sweetness to it. There are a few guests on here. They seem to be kind of towards the end. As we get towards the end of the album, she's kind of gone, here's my songs, right, let's do some duets or stuff with other people. The highlight for those is probably my favourite track on the album, actually, which is My Oh My, which also has, I'm going to pronounce these wrong, BB Rexa and Tove Lo. And the theme for that song is three girls at a nightclub and they're kind of introducing themselves. It's almost like if you're a guy there, kind of meeting these girls one at a time. There is the more unusual one is Midnight Ride, which is with a guy called Orville Peck from South Africa, who takes a male lead, and so it's actually mostly a male-led song. It's got a kind of country twanginess to it as well, which is interesting. So the content is mostly about going out clubbing and dancing and relationships and being in your twenties and that kind of life. And this is, Kylie Minogue is now in her mid 50s, but she is the Peter Pan of pop. Or the female Peter Pan. She's the girl who never grew up. She's always kind of projected this "I'm still in my 20s" image, and she pulls it off. And I think that's, yeah, you kind of feel like it's not as much of an act as maybe you'd think it is. I think she just is this very bubbly person who that comes through in her music. I'm sure it's very carefully uh, done as a kind of marketing thing, but I don't think it's kind of contrary to her nature. Um, and in terms of content, I think the track that I like best was "Someone for Me," which is the theme of this is she's talking to a girlfriend who has a man, and she's kind of envious of the relationship that her friend has with this man. But she's not resentful. She's just saying, "Yeah, have you got someone for me that's like that?" It's like, yeah, I wish I had that kind of sentiment, which is nice. So the whole album is it's not deep, it's fun. I'm not necessarily, I'm sure I'm behind all the message. There is a certain kind of fleeting romance nature of it, but generally it's light. It doesn't give a submissive female message. It's not aggressively feminist or anything like that, but it has a certain amount of empowering to it, I would say. And again, maybe I'm just interpreting what I want into it. I really enjoyed it. Musically, I loved it. It's packed with songs that all could be singles, I would say. It's just totally feel good Saturday night music. And I think it's really easy. As somebody who's reviewing a lot of kind of well thought of albums through this list that I'm working through, it's really easy to kind of be looking for the significance of albums and the depth. And this isn't deep. but it is just really well crafted and very nicely put together. And I try not to, turn my nose up at something just because it's going to be popular. And I think this could be a really popular album. Anyway, so that's what I think. I obviously really like this album. I have got a soft spot for Kylie anyway, which is why I've reviewed this. And I'm really pleased that I did. I was unsure as to whether I should have a go at this one, but now I'm really glad because I love this album. Great. I'd love to know what you think. The album's available for streaming, so go and have a listen to it and let me know what you think. That's it from me for now.
Hi.